Hello, my name's Fiona. I'm originally from Bristol in the UK. I am 49, which I can't really believe. Um, I'm a lawyer for work. I am now living in Dubai. Today, I'm sharing our son Edward's story. He was born on the 27th of May 2014. So a couple of weeks ago, he would have been 10 years old. I really want to share his story because I hope it will help other parents and expectant parents um, and anyone who knows someone who is pregnant to raise awareness for Group B Strep. Edward was born 10 years ago, but we only had him for 10 days. He contracted a Group B Strep infection during my labor. He was very sick as soon as he was born. They took him straight to the neonatal intensive care unit, where he basically spent all of his very short life, unfortunately. It's I just want to do my very best to try and stop this from happening to anyone else. I've campaigned since what happened to Edward to raise awareness, and I really wanted to make this video to just increase that awareness, and just if I can reach one or two extra people to go and take the test and understand about the risks of Group B strep, then that's all I want to do. I was in the birthing centre in Lewisham Hospital, and they basically said to me that, you haven't progressed enough. You need to go upstairs to the labour ward so we can induce you, because it had been, like I say, 24 hours or over 24 hours. Once I got up to the labour ward, they put the heart rate monitor on the baby. And a short time after that, they realized that they'd lost the heartbeat. So this was obviously a panic stations moment. They pressed the emergency button. There were suddenly loads of people running into the room where I was. I was hoiked up onto a trolley and told that I needed a general anaesthetic to have an emergency cesarean. That was the last I knew of the birth. The last memory I have is going along the hospital corridor, just saying to my baby just to hold on. I woke up after the general anaesthetic, and I looked at the nurse who was there, and the first word I said was baby. Edward was in the ICU, and they weren't really sure exactly what the problem was at that time, but he was obviously very sick. We then got transferred to St Thomas's in London because they had a neonatal intensive care unit, which they didn't have at Lewisham. And so we spent 10 days in that hospital with Edward. I had to have a blood transfusion and various other problems. But he was basically, they said that he had such severe brain damage that he couldn't really survive. He was on a ventilator for the vast majority of the time that we were with him. At the very end, they did MRI scans, and they said that there wasn't any chance really of him surviving. So we agreed that he should come off the ventilator. He survived for, I don't know, probably 10 hours, in which time we were able to give him a bath, which we hadn't done. We were able to hold him without loads of tubes around him and monitors and everything. And then he passed away early in the morning. And then we were just left to try and work out what had happened, really. It was obviously very scary and confusing, and we didn't really have a lot of answers as to what had happened until quite a lot later. I think the first time I really understood something about it was when the doctors in St Thomas's said, they said to me, were you given any antibiotics during your labour? And I said, no. And they looked at the notes and they said, oh, but you you had your waters broken for 24 hours. If you would have been here, after 18 hours, we would have given you antibiotics. And then as time went on, we actually had a post-mortem and a inquest into what happened to Edward. And as a result of talking to doctors and understanding more about it, it became clear that the major problem that he had was a group B strep infection, and that he had contracted that during the birth. I'd never heard of any sort of test. Obviously, I know about it now. But I gradually became aware that there was a test that you could do. You know, I think around the sort of 36 weeks of pregnancy sort of time. And had I had that test and it would have come back positive, I would have been given antibiotics immediately, that I would have gone into labor. And I'll never know, you know, there's no way anyone could know exactly how that would have turned out. But I think it's got to be that the situation would have been so much better. Edward would have had at least a fighting chance had I have had the test and had I have been given the antibiotics, which it's not a difficult thing for them to do during labor. Losing a baby is obviously absolutely horrendous, but then to find out that it didn't necessarily have to happen and that something, you know, may have prevented it is just, I can't explain how angry and upsetting that is. You can't even explain what a massive impact it has. You know, we're talking about something that happened 10 years ago. Still upsetting, firstly. And I think the worst part was going home back to our house without our baby. You know, he was overdue. Everything was ready. The nursery, the car seat, the cot, all the toys, so many clothes, probably way too many. You know, everything was there. And, you know, you come home from the hospital, everything's there, except the main thing, your baby. And then, you know, over time, you think you'll never get over it. But, you know, hopefully doing things like this and telling people the story will, like I say, if it makes one more person go and get a test and means that they don't even have to think about going through what we've been through, then, you know, that's Edward's legacy. That's what I could do for him.